Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Laoch Boxing PU Hero all-around Velcro training gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Laoch Boxing PU Hero all-around Velcro training glove. I got mine in the black and gold with the Irish flag on the inner portion of the thumb colorway. 16 ounces. It is a Velcro closure only model. You can get it anywhere between 14 to 16 ounces with a total of 6 colors to choose from, which you can check out on their website. It's made of a synthetic PU on the exterior of the glove, PU meaning polyurethane, with a smooth tricot liner on the inside of the hand compartment, and 4 layers of foam padding over the knuckles that is medium in firmness, and the gloves are manufactured in Pakistan. Now this is going to be Laoch's synthetic version of their very popular Hero boxing gloves. And from a design and stature standpoint, comparing this to other 16-ounce gloves, I'd say that these are more on the medium to compact side when it comes to sizing profile, meaning that if I were to lay this on a table next to other 16-ounce gloves, from a size standpoint, height, width, they're a little bit more on the compact side, which I personally prefer. I think sometimes there's a misconception that the size of the glove, when you physically look at it, if it's larger, that it's going to weigh much more than a glove that's a little bit smaller. In some cases that's true, but not all the time. It really depends on what they use to actually fill the glove, what they manufacture it with, and the type of foams that they use inside the glove structurally. So a little bit more on the compact side. This PU on here is very nice, high quality, has a very thick feel to it. It does have more of a matte feel. So it's not a shiny glove whatsoever. It has more of a matte finish. You have the oval Laoch logo on the back of the glove. Laoch is a Irish-inspired brand, but they are based out here in North America. You do have a really large 5-inch Velcro strap with the gold piping around the strap. The piping on here is a little bit more of kind of like a pearlescent gold. It's not a metallic per se, but you have that strap all the way around. You can see it right there, as well as the piping that comes up on the palm side that drops down to the base of the glove. You have that smooth tricot liner on the inside of the hand compartment with a tag for with the weight and where the glove is manufactured right there. You have, I'd say, maybe about an inch of firm EVA padding on the back of the wrist. You also have a much softer tricot padding on the inside that lines up against your skin, and I'd say about maybe 1/4 of an inch on the inner portion of the hand compartment that acts like a splint. So it kind of comes up right here, and then it comes up on this side as well. You have gold at the base of the piping right here on the thumb, ventilated holes on the thumb as well as above the grip bar. The grip bar does show the weight, 16 ounces right here on the grip bar as well. And you also have an attached thumb right there at the very tip of the glove. So in terms of the overall styling, I like the way it looks. You know, they have their logo on the back of the glove, and they also give you that Irish flag colorway on the inner portion of the thumb that they use on a lot of their gloves, which is a nice touch. It gives contrast, and it doesn't, you know, it's not overbearing on the glove in my opinion. You have a good contrast between the black, the gold piping, and then you have just that little bit on the inner thumb to give you that contrast in color, which I really like. I think that looks clean. And then on the back of the glove, obviously you just have their logo on the back. So that's basically it. So the fact that the glove is not overly done where you have a ton of graphics on it, I think they did a really nice job. Quality of the gloves are very nice, especially for a synthetic glove. You can see overall, the synthetic is all consistent all the way through. I haven't had issues. I've had this glove for quite a few months already in the rotation, and they've held up nicely. You know, no issues with any of the stitching popping out or breaking down. I do take good care of my gloves, so I often clean them off and maintain them. So as long as you maintain them, you can definitely get more use out of your gloves and just more longevity, but it's something you have to stay consistent with. I put the gloves on the scale. They're both slightly overweight. I believe the left was at 16.3 or 16.4, and the right was at about 16.3, 16.4 ounces. So they're advertised as 16-ounce gloves, so pretty much on point with weight, slightly a little bit over, but nothing too crazy for a training glove. And whenever gloves are off weight, I'd prefer them to weigh more than weigh less, if that makes sense. So if I'm getting a 16-ounce glove and I end up using these gloves for sparring, then I don't feel bad because the gloves actually weigh more than they're advertised. So technically that's, I guess you can call it a disadvantage for me if you look at it just from a numeric standpoint. But if they were like 15.5 ounces, then they're underweight, and then that's more of like, okay, well, you're using gloves that are too light for you in sparring. So there's a case to be made for that as well. So, you know, again, if the weights are off, I'd prefer it to be over in weight than under in weight, just my personal preference. But yeah, overall looks pretty good. I'd say the gloves are slightly top heavy. When you grab the back of the glove, it'd be nice, a little bit more rigid padding. Not so much the amount of padding, but a little bit more stiffer EVA through the wrist section so that the glove doesn't have that top heavy sag to it. It's not bad, but it's definitely not the best when it comes to the distribution of weight through the glove. But you can see it for yourself. All the material on here is synthetic. Stitching all looks really solid. You know, if I were to critique anything about the glove, it would probably be just the balance of weight. But other than that, everything else about the glove is done very nicely. Putting the gloves next to each other from a symmetrical standpoint, you can see the logos are right where they need to be. Centered, not crooked. Height and width is pretty much the same on the gloves. The outer portion, you can see right here, that pre-curved fist looks identical on both gloves, on both sides. You're looking at about, I'd say 2 to maybe 2.5 inches of foam padding. So it's definitely thickly padded. Thumb positioning looks really good and identical to each other, and the inner thumb as well as the Velcro straps look pretty much the same. So in terms of symmetry and balance, the gloves are done really nicely. Comfort. One of my favorite features of the glove is one, the liner feels really good. So this tricol liner on the inside, very smooth. Your hand slides right into the hand pocket. No issues with resistance. You also don't have a ton of extra liner bunching up around the finger compartment or against the thumb. Thumb is in perfect position. So the base has the piping that's wide enough to allow the fat part of your thumb to go in there. Keep in mind, your hands will start swelling just like your feet do when you start training. You get hot and sweaty. So you have to account for that with your hand wraps on, is that your hands will eventually swell up. And it's nice to have just a little bit of extra room on the base of the thumb when companies do that. What I don't like is when the piping is super pulled in and tight and your thumb you kind of lose the sensation, and it feels like it cuts off the circulation and numbs your thumb out. In the back of the thumb, about 1 inch of medium density foam padding. It actually feels like the same padding throughout that they use over the knuckles that they use on the back of the thumb. Depth is perfect. The glove is pretty well broken in when you first get it. So that's another great feature, is that you can open and close your palm with relative ease. Grip bar is nice and large and firm, so that feels good as well. And a nice deep finger compartment with an extra neoprene pad that covers stitching. That neoprene they use on the pad feels really good. It's a really nice deep piece, so it doesn't feel like they skimped out on it. You can really get in there and make a really nice tight fist with that pad. And you can see opening and closing my hand, so I definitely like the way it feels. For me, this is the type of glove that's kind of right up my wheelhouse in terms of the style I like. I like more broken in soft gloves. Just my own personal preference. Good thumb positioning, and to me, the injury prevention, and I guess you want to call it protection, really comes in the ergonomics of the glove, not so much the type of padding and if it's made with alligator skin and all other stuff. It's really just how tightly you can make a fist and how natural you can make a fist in a glove like this, right? So it feels really good on both sides. Left is on. Let me put the right on. And I'd say the right feels right there with it. Nice deep finger compartment. I can open and close my palm with no problem. Feels really good. Wrist support feels pretty good overall. One thing I will say is maybe the Velcro strap is a little overkill. It's a huge strap, but it doesn't really provide much more support higher up at the base of my palm, where I would feel like I can get a little bit more of a locked in feel. And I think that's where, you know, brands like Rival, where they have the wrist strap or the V-strap system, really comes into benefit or comes into play is when you have that base. You know, I feel like these larger straps now, even like Mexican brands like Grant, where they use these larger strap, it just, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me. I see why they do it. It's just they're trying to get you a little bit more support at the bottom, but I feel like it needs to go a little bit higher up. So not a bad thing, but just something that I feel like they could have probably went with a little bit more of a regular traditional smaller strap, and it would have felt just the same in my opinion. And maybe even brought it down and be on point with weight at 16 ounces, because you're using less material for the Velcro strap. Protection and performance wise, these are definitely 100% a balanced training glove, which is what they describe it as. You can use this glove for everything in the gym. I think these gloves really excel, particularly at like sparring, because of this padding consistency. It's not rock solid, it's not super soft, it compresses down nicely, and it's forgiving. You know, I think people will say, well, you know, is it a protective glove for you and your sparring partner? I think that term gets tossed around kind of a little loosely. There's never going to be a glove that's protective for your sparring partner. You're obviously punching them, so you're not really protecting them per se. But you can also help, I guess you can say, you can help mitigate and reduce the damage inflicted by the type of gloves you're using. So you're not protecting them, but you're more or less just trying to get more longevity out of your sparring and your partner. So with that being said, I feel like this type of foam padding is the best type for it. It's softer, it's forgiving. When it lands on my face, you know, obviously if you get hit with enough force, any type of punch is going to hurt, but the type of padding also makes a big difference. You have gloves that are really, you know, rock solid, and you get hit. Just imagine getting hit by a solid object, right? It's gonna hurt more. If you get hit by an object that's softer, and then your knuckles, like a puncher's horsehair glove, it's gonna hurt as well, because now it's compressing, and then your knuckles are gonna kind of come through it. So I feel like this is a kind of like a perfect blend when it comes to making a really good glove for sparring. And then obviously for training, hitting the bag, doing mitt work, this excels very well for all of those things. So I think this is a very good all-around training glove. And the best part going to cost is these gloves are $60, which to me, I feel like I'm going back 10 years when it comes to the cost of gloves. I think it's a great price. I think it's going to be hard to beat and hard to find a glove at this price point. Honestly, that's going to be just as good or better than this glove. Now, obviously, there's a couple small opportunities that I would, you know, do to improve this glove. But outside of that, at $60, you get 6 colors to choose from. You get 2 different sizes, 14 and 16, which to me are probably the most common sizes when it comes to boxing gloves. And just, yeah, an overall great glove for the value. You know, you're not going to find a better glove than this, in my opinion, at $60. Great bang for the buck, especially how, you know, all the prices are starting to inflate now. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air to have a brand that makes a really nice glove, and it doesn't feel like a generic, you know, IMF cheapo glove with crappy foam in it and just a very generic feel. This one actually feels like there was some thought and design put into it, especially for a budget entry-level glove, in my opinion, that you can't really beat. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Laoch training gloves. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.